Everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic, as usual, is all about compliance. But this session, we are taking a slightly different spin, and we are focusing on NFA. It is the hot topic this year. I will say that this crew right here that I have with me, Gentry, JC, Jamison, and Travis, we have done these webinars many, many times over the many years. We've never seen attendance like we have on this session here today. We have actually close to 600 dealers who have registered for today's session, and I can't help but think it's because we're really leaning into the NFA conversation. It has been the hot topic this year, so we are going to unpack it and get into it all today. Some quick housekeeping: we are recording this session, so everybody who has registered will receive the recorded link shortly after the session. And we encourage questions. So we have a lot to cover, but on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar pane, you can drop any question in there. We encourage you to do so. At the end of the session, we'll save 10 or 15 minutes to answer questions. If we don't get to all the questions, we will answer each and every question via email. All right, so I'll go through and do some quick introductions just for the sake of saving time. We have Travis Glover from Silencer Shop and 4473 Cloud. We have JC Clark from FFL Consultants. Gentry Bell from Chattanooga Shooting Supplies. Jamison Collins from FastBound. And I'm Michele Salerno with Celerant. So we have a lot of different dealers on this session today. Many of you are Celerant clients or clients of any of these gentlemen here, but let's take a minute and just go over each of our companies just so everyone knows who all of us are. JC, we'll start with you.
Sure, so I'm JC with FFL Consultants. We are firearms compliance and range compliance experts in the industry. We support thousands of FFLs across the country in all manner of facets of the business of being an FFL or range operator. So we've been industry operators, so we've actually walked in your shoes at one point in our lives, taking care of more than 500 licensees throughout the country. So that's kind of where our background is.
And Jamison?
Jamison Collins with FastBound. We're the industry-leading compliance software, so we're going to do your bound book, your 4473s. We're going to make it easy for you and your team to stay compliant, run through your 4473s. Our new NICS Direct tool really simplifies the background process.
All right, Travis?
Hi, y'all. So 4473 Cloud to start. We're just digital storage of 4473s. We're partners with FastBound and a few other industry partners that do the bound book in 4473, but we are just the storage component for the 4473s to get all the paper out of your store so you can use that space for more inventory and to sell more product. And of course, Silencer Shop, for those of you who don't know who we are, we're the industry's leading NFA or suppressor wholesale distributor, and we are the country's largest processor of, excuse me, of NFA forms through the ATF form system.
Gentry?
So Chattanooga Shooting Supply, we're a wholesale distributor located out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Nearly 50 years in the industry. We have a wide selection of inventory ranging over 50,000 SKUs. We're locally named for Chattanooga, but we are a nationwide distributor. We have account executives all across the country, and we carry every brand that you could ever want. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And at Celerant, we are a retail software provider, as many of you know, because you're using our software, point of sale, e-commerce, mobile apps, even digital marketing. We really are a one-stop shop, so it's all channels of your retail business and really all aspects of your business with one system. And we integrate with everyone on this call here. Of course, JC, there's no integration per se to FFL Consultants, but of course, we're all partnered as well. We have two platforms we offer the market. We've got Cumulus Retail, which is our lighter, more cost-effective solution. and then Stratus Enterprise, which is where the larger, more advanced dealers, the system they'll use. All right, so we're going to get into it here. On the screen is today's agenda. I will also say this, today's session is only about 45 minutes long. There's time for questions at the end, but we can't get through everything. There's just too much to get through, and there's a lot of us here, and we all do love to talk. But especially for the Celerant clients, our client conference is coming up in 7 weeks in Dallas, Texas, and all the gentlemen here on this call, they will all be at our conference. We will be hosting an ATF compliance panel at the conference. Travis will also be hosting some sessions, breakout sessions specific to NFA. So we are going to unpack a lot here in this session and also at the conference in a couple of weeks. So for today's agenda, we really are going to focus on 4 main areas. First is the regulatory landscape. There's been a lot of changes. JC is going to walk us through the federal updates and also the emerging state level changes that everyone should be aware of. We are going to talk about compliance through and through on the entire session. And then we're really going to break down technology and how you can use technology and automation for more secure and easier compliance. And then we'll look specifically at growth opportunities, right? This year is the year of the suppressor, and there's a lot of areas where you can diversify your products, sell wider product lines, and ultimately make a lot more margin. So we are going to kick it off with JC. First, we're going to focus on federal updates, and then we will get to the statewide updates.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Just to kind of, we only have a brief amount of time to talk, so I just want to run through some things. If you're unaware, the ATF inspection focus has shifted. Obviously, President Trump is in office now, so that zero tolerance, as everybody knew and loved for the last 4 or 5 years, is gone. The focus shift for ATF inspections now is more analytical. They're looking at trace data and denied transactions and different activities like that, and really focusing their energy on where the problems are. So if you haven't had an inspection in a while, take a look at how operations are running. If you're not seeing a lot of denied, you're not seeing a lot of traces, you may not necessarily come up as a FFL for focus for inspection. So they really are leaning and leveraging on more analytics now to make the determination of where they should be placing their focus. If you are not aware, ATF Director, the current acting ATF Director is Rob Cicada. He has passed committee, and we are waiting on his final confirmation. A date as of this morning was still to be determined. We're anticipating it by the end of March. So that being said, once confirmed, get ready, because they have a litany of items that they're wanting to address immediately after his confirmation. Things such as that firearms handler check, the new 4473, a variety of different things dealing with e-forms and moving a lot of what you do as far as interaction with the ATF into that e-forms platform. What I will tell you is everything they are planning to do, especially as it relates to forms, any revisions to forms or new forms or changes in forms, will hit the Federal Register for 60 days. And we are telling the industry in whole that, you know, give it time to get out there on the Federal Register and make sure that you're reviewing what the ATF is attempting to do or make changes to, et cetera, and really give honest, quality feedback. Don't give feedback that, you know, the ATF sucks, because that's just a waste of their time. We want to give good quality feedback and how the changes that they're pushing forward impact you as an FFL. So just stand by on that. Everything will be coming once Director Cicada is confirmed. Technology fast track. If you're an eForms user, you've already seen part of what they have planned. You know, the eForms platform is quite a bit faster now. If you had not noticed that, the old platform was actually on a 2006 server. So they've really ramped things up with the intention of going down the road to moving everything to that eForms platform. They're talking about moving your renewal for FFL into the eForms platform. They've already done the renewal for your SOT in the eForms platform. Amending your FFL will be in the eForms platform. All of the things that you do that are still manual paper processes, they are looking to move into and integrate into the eForms platform. So just be aware of that. If you're not familiar with eForms, get familiar with eForms. Get that account set up. A lot of good things are happening there. The new Form 4 for transfers between non-licensees is out there now. No longer have to required to do that paper Form 4 anymore. So keep an eye on that eForms platform. Things are flying out of there pretty quick. Interim final rule 2025R54T, which is interim. It's waiting to be an actual final rule, but it talks about the definition of an unlawful user of marijuana. Now, what does this mean to you? This means that essentially the occasional user of marijuana will no longer be prohibited from purchasing or possessing firearms. So we're watching this very closely. We're very interested to see what the general public has to say about this. It has been published, so please go out to the Federal Register and take a look at that and leave your comments if you so choose. Something to be keenly aware of as FFLs operating throughout the country, there are dual regulatory frameworks right now. We're based in Colorado, just outside of Denver. And, traditionally FFLs only had to worry about certain things as it related to operating and transferring firearms from one state to another, et cetera, when you're dealing in e-commerce, especially. Most of you, if you deal with firearms with anybody in California, you're kind of familiar with all of the steps and nuances of dealing with shipping a firearm to California. Well, now we're starting to see the laws from California and Colorado and some other states start to be adopted by several states. And this is impacting you as an FFL, whether you operate in that state or not. So be keenly aware of the fact that there are a number of new regulatory frameworks being pushed out there. Washington's standing up a bunch right now. New Mexico is as well. So just get familiar and be very careful when you're dealing in firearms, especially those of you that are heavy in e-commerce, because you could be impacted by the rules that are being implemented in other states. And the attorney generals in those states are looking to go after FFLs out of state who do not comply with the state laws. So be very aware of that. Next slide, Michele. Speaking of those dual regulatory frameworks, right now the states to watch are Colorado, Oregon, Washington, California, Massachusetts, New Mexico, and Virginia. We're seeing Virginia especially fast and furious, implementing new laws around and restricting firearm ownership, firearm possession, firearm transactions, etc. So Washington just stood up a law, went into effect July 1 of 2025, but it's the reporting requirement started Washington FFLs are required to do some reporting March 15th of this year for last year's activities. So a bunch of Washington FFLs right now are scrambling to get that reporting in. So if you're a Washington FFL and you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to help you get that squared away. Michele, did you move to the next slide?
Nope.
What happened? Oh, there we go. Sorry. There we go. Expansion of state dealer licensing programs. We're seeing this across many states. Just be aware of that. It won't impact you as an FFL out of state, but you do need to be paying attention to what's going on. Colorado is a great example. If you are dealing in firearms or ammunition in the state of Colorado, whether you are in the state of Colorado or not, you are required to charge excise tax or collect excise tax on those items once you reach a certain threshold. So you're going to want to pay attention to what's going on in some of these states, because you as an FFL, even though you're operating outside the state, you may be required to do certain things. Increased reporting data transparency requirements. This is happening in Washington. One of the things that they are required to report is all trace requests. And we're also starting to see that in other states. Even though the data really doesn't make any sense to the receiving agency, because we don't know why that trace request occurred. They just are asking for the collection of a lot of information. They're also asking for your inspection, your ATF inspection reports, asking if you've had an inspection and what the outcome of that inspection was, because ATF will not share that information with them. Enhanced compliance, we've already seen those states that have stood up programs. State of Colorado, great example. They're already out doing inspections of firearms dealers related to specific items, security, signage, things of that nature, making sure they're filling out all the required forms, etc. So this is happening. It's fast and furious across the country. There's a number of states that are just enacting these laws and regulations now that are causing us to have to really look at responsible person standards, overall compliance, what enforcement actions they're going to take. We're even starting to see requirements around operational security, and what that looks like is a lot of money, because unfortunately, if you haven't taken matters into your own hands, these state legislators are putting laws into effect that require you to protect your business more and more, and they're putting very stringent requirements in place. So just be aware of what's going on out there as far as the states are concerned. Obviously, increased transfer controls. We're going to continue to see this grow and grow as one state who is friendly with another state like Colorado and California, they end up talking, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're sharing ideas about what else they can implement in order to make it more difficult for you as an FFL to do business. So stay tuned. We keep an eye on this. We do Ask Us Anything events once a month and provide you updates on a regular basis. Things are changing fast, but we're staying in front of it and communicating to the industry what's happening out there. So thanks, Michele.
JC, let me ask you a question, because the zero tolerance, that's gone.
Yep.
It's a new political party. What is your biggest recommendation? What are you seeing, and what are you recommending to the dealers given all the recent changes?
You know, what we're doing is we're telling dealers, we understand zero tolerance is gone, right? But there has been no laws, no legislation presented that would restrict the ATF or another administration to go ahead and enact that same zero tolerance policy. That was an executive order. So until we see a law come out of the legislation that says the ATF cannot do that ever again, guess what? You're going to be looking at zero tolerance again come a new administration if they have anything focused on gun control. Be really aware of that. And keep in mind too that just like when zero tolerance went into effect previously, they can go back. So I fully anticipate, God forbid something happens in the 2028 election, I fully anticipate if they put a zero tolerance policy in place, they're going to go back to the last 4 years and look at all the inspections and all the outcomes to make a determination how they're going to impact the industry.
Yep.
So pay attention.
Yes. All right, we are going to switch gears. We're going to bring in technology and automation, talk about how using a modern technology stack can really help you save time and operate more efficiently. I'm not going through this whole slide. This is a lot, and frankly, we could do probably an hour-long webinar on each and every one of these topics another day. But for today, we're going to really just sort of focus on two areas, I think, mostly the integrated compliance, where we talk about electronic A&D, 4473, digital records, everything connected to your point of sale. We're also going to talk a little bit about leaning on your distributors and integrating and how you can really sell smarter and sell more with these tight integrations and help simplify your compliance. I will say this, there are a lot of dealers on today's call. Some are maybe completely manual, some are using a complete tech stack, and then there's everything in between. And no matter where you sit, even if there's one thing that you start small with after leaving this webinar, one area where you ask your vendor, right? Ask your point of sale vendor, ask your compliance vendor, are they doing these things? Are they able to do these things? Because a lot of this stuff maybe you can do with your provider. And of course, if you're not using software yet, I think we're all in agreement here that the biggest recommendation we can give you is to start using a software platform to help you streamline all of this work. All right, so before we jump into it, we're going to ask a quick poll question. We like to get a feel for who all is on this call. So I am going to bring up this first poll. Give me 1 second. When it comes to technology in your gun shop, what does that look like? So I'm going to launch this. And you guys should see the poll question. Yep, everyone's filling it out. Good. So when it comes to technology in your gun shop, what does that look like? A, just getting started and still manual. B, growing but disconnected systems. C, a moderate tech stack with some automation. D, advanced but still gaps. Or E, fully integrated and data-driven. These are the rock stars of the bunch. So we're at 56% who have voted. So take a minute and select the option that best applies to your business. We're at 82%. Good, everybody's up, everybody's awake. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this. And I'm going to share the results. Jamison, read for us the results here.
All right, so just getting started and still manual, you got 21%. Growing but disconnected systems, you're at 29%. Moderate tech stack, some automation, 27%. Advanced stack, but still have gaps at 14%. And fully integrated, data-driven, life's really easy, 8%.
Yes, 8%. Wow, well that's good. At least we have 8%. No surprise, at least to me, that 29% are growing but somewhat disconnected, right? That could mean you're using a point of sale, you're doing your compliance manually, or the opposite, you're using compliance software, but it's not integrated with your point of sale, and a lot of different variations here. Okay, so we've got a real mixed bag on this call. So we're going to first really talk about electronic 4473 and bound book, and then we'll move into storing it in the cloud, and then we'll move into some distributors, and then we're going to talk more specifically about diversifying. Go ahead, Jamie, kick us off.
Yep. So electronic bound book 4473 is covered by 2016-1 and 2 that allow you to do electronic. If you do switch over to electronic system, all of your bound books for that FFL do have to be electronic. But you can still do a paper 4473 or a digital 4473. I get asked that all the time. Like, well, what if I get a customer that come in that hates electronic? You can still do it, but 9 times out of 10, once people switch over to electronic and they get the peace of mind, the simplicity, it's fully integrated to a system, so they're 100% digital. They don't want to go back because they don't want to make a mistake. Having it connected to a solution, it's just that much easier. You're not having to receive it into your point of sale and then go write it on your paper or go log it in. Fully integrated, just you literally receive it in on your purchase order, it pushes to your bound book. The systems communicate to make sure that all the required fields are there. It's an updated FFL. You're not missing any of the critical fields. Handwriting's terrible. I mean, it's the dealer's handwriting's just horrendous. 4473s, like I've got no clue how people still do paper. You just cannot decipher that handwriting. So you go electronic, it's fully digital, you can read it, everything matches, and there's no error. There's no possibility that somebody checked that, hey, I'm a felon, and you overlook that because you're trying to figure out their handwriting, and then you sell them a gun. Those are the things that electronic solutions are really going to prevent. They're also going to make sure that all the dates match up, you don't sell over 30 days and things like that. That's those audit trails and things like that on top of the checks and balances. It's going to make sure that you're protected. So when you do get an audit and they come in and they look at all your records, everything matches and it's all there. And the other thing is, if you're on vacation and you're a small FFL and you don't have access to your bound book, you're going to have to figure it out if you get a trace request. I just talked to someone the other day and they said that they were on vacation, couldn't provide it, and ATF was not happy. Going digital, you can simply log into your phone, pull up the disposition record. If you're using digital storage with 4473 cloud, you can grab that 4473 and within minutes you can send that off. Or seconds, sorry. It's a really quick process.
And that stat on the bottom there, 80%, that's the majority of ATF violations are clerical. And so by using a software tool, that really helps avoid and prevent all of these mistakes. That number is massive.
Yep.
All right, and then saving these 4473s in the cloud and no longer needing to store all that paper, print all the paper. Trav, take us through this.
Absolutely. So ATF ruling 2022-1 governs digital storage of 4473s. JC will remember a time when ATF told us we'd never be able to store forms digitally, but they've come around. It took a lot of beatings, I guess, but they've come around to it. And as Jamison mentioned, 2016-1 and 2 on the bound book and 4473. If you go digital, then you have to meet 2022-1 as well. And I'll make one point. It doesn't matter who you use for these particular solutions, but just know that it is on you, the FFL. It's your responsibility to ensure that the software you're using meets those requirements. So if you are using digital, good, you should be, but make sure you familiarize yourself with 2016-1, 2016-2, and of course 2022-1 when you go fully digital. Because when ATF walks in to do an inspection, if the software doesn't meet the requirements, they are not going to call your software company. They're going to talk to you. So it's definitely in your best interest to be fully vetted in what you need to do from your FFL's perspective. Digital storage, real quick, you no longer have to print 4473s. On average, it costs about 63 cents to print a 4473 in 2026, which is seemingly insane. 5 years ago, it was like 30 cents, but you know, inflation, right? So it costs about 63 cents to print a 4473. And that's just to print it. You're paying people to print it, you're paying people to review it, you're paying people to put a staple in it, you're putting them in a banker's box, and you're setting them in the back room or in a separate some section of your business that could be used for something else. And you'll see in that little blue down in the left-hand corner, that's a real story from one of our biggest dealers. They literally converted where they were keeping all of their stinking paper and use it now as their suppressor cave, and it's probably the most profitable square foot in their store today. So
and
no
all
more
that
paper.
and all that work, sorry Travis, but all that work that Travis just talked through, it's manual. Everything is just so manual in addition to the paper in the space.
That's right. And now it's fully digital, something that's integrated, like Jamison said, from your bound book, your point of sale, digital storage, all the data stays true across all those systems. You don't have to worry about fat fingering information. You don't have to worry about handwritten information. And again, store the forms digitally. You can do a trace request from anywhere in the world as long as you have access to the internet. You don't have to stop your vacation, as Jamison mentioned, to do that. So digital storage 2022-1, just make sure you're compliant when you do it.
All right. So distributor connections are another really awesome way that using software, you can save time and sell more. And of course, here we've got Chattanooga. We've also got Silencer Shop. But there's 25 or 30 different distributors in the industry. If you're using point of sale and or e-commerce, you should be connecting to all of your distributors to help you simplify the process. I could do a whole session on this topic alone, but just to kind of save time here, the left side is really the brick and mortar side, and the right side is more the e-commerce, eliminating the need to manually enter all those products. Again, fat fingers, making mistakes. You don't have to worry about any of that because it's all integrated from within the system. Sending purchase orders from your software to your vendor, not having to pick up the phone, not going to the dealer website, not sending emails. It's all in one place. Taking it a step further, automating your store replenishment, right? Automatically creating POs based on min-max levels in the software to send out to keep your shelves stocked just when you need it, not overstocking and understocking. And then of course for e-commerce, I mean, I remember 10 years ago, this was like the new thing, maybe 15 years ago. And now everybody has it. It's just the standard, right? Online feeds and drop ship. You want to pull those feeds from your distributor. Gentry, how big is your warehouse?
Well, now it's even bigger as we just completed a large expansion. But I want to say there's at least a mile of conveyor in our warehouse. All things
Travis,
considered.
how many suppressors do you have down in Austin? Like how big is your warehouse down there?
Our warehouse suppressors don't take up as much room as what Gentry is selling most of there in Chattanooga, but we're out of space. We've overflown out of the 15,000 square foot that we did have. We're just like you guys just did, Gentry. We're about to build a new one. That'll be close to 50,000 square feet for just
Wow.
suppressors and SBRs.
Exactly. So way bigger than your storage room or your back office in your gun shop, right? So you can literally take anything and everything that your distributors have in stock in their massive warehouses. You can sell it on your website. Your consumer will know no different. They'll drop ship on your behalf, and it all just flows. And again, it all points back to the technology stack that you're using at your business. All right, so growth opportunities. We are going to get into diversifying with new products. And as I said at the beginning of this call, this is the year of the
Suppressor.
suppressor. The slight delay. There it is. I think you see it now. I feel like this is all we talked about at SHOT Show. It has been a challenging year this past year. We all know that. 2025, 2026 is not shaping up as well as we thought it might. But one area where dealers can really get that margin and be successful is by bringing in NFA products. All right, so before we jump into this, I want to ask a quick question and get a feel for how many people on today's call already have your SOT. So let me pull this next question up. All right, go ahead and fill that out. If this one's an easy one. Yes, we have our SOT. No, but I'm planning to get it. Or no, I haven't even considered it yet. I'm very interested to see what the breakdown is on today's call.
And just a couple little snippets for next tax year for SOTs. You're going to start renewing and or applying for the next tax year come April 15th. So if you're thinking about it, April 15th is the initial date when you can apply for the next tax year. I would not apply for your SOT in 2025 because there is no proration or anything like that. Depending on what type of SOT you have, it's going to be that $500 out of pocket. So, and then you're going to have to renew for the next year anyway. So April 15th, you can start to renew your stuff, or if you're going to get into the SOT world and into NFA, you can start applying for it come April 15th as well.
There you go, a month away.
Yep.
All right, well, actually more people than I assumed already have their SOT, which is great, but quite a big chunk on the bottom there as well. I'm curious, for the ones who said, no, I haven't considered it, I'm curious after this session if that changes. So let me hide that and then we will get to it here. Go ahead, Travis, take us away.
Thanks, Michelle. So just briefly, where's the market, right? As Michelle said, we all remember 2017 and the initial Trump slump, and honestly, 2025 was kind of Trump slump 2.0. It seems like if you're looking at the NFA, I'm sorry, the NICS information, firearms are still down compared to where they were prior. But the one thing that isn't down is suppressors. So just to put this in perspective, January 1st, $0 tax stamps on suppressors. It doesn't just apply to suppressors; it applies to SBRs and short barrel shotguns as well, and AOWs. But really, the growth is in suppressors, and actually SBRs are growing as well because now that there's no tax stamp, those stupid pistol braces that everybody hated, now they don't need them. Just use a real stock. Anyway, so SBRs are growing as well, but really focusing on suppressors. You'll see the stats up there. Just 2023, 350,000 suppressors were sold in the United States. in 2023. 2024, ATF came out and said 4-day waits. You remember in 2023, they're about 6 to 9 months, which just seems asinine looking back. Like, why was that ever a thing? But they came out in March of 2024, ATF did it and said 4-day waits will be the new normal, and the market more than doubled, right? Pretty much overnight and in 9 months. The only thing that kept the market from being even bigger in 2024, quite frankly, was supply chain. The manufacturers weren't ready for it. No one saw it coming. You could not keep the supply chain full. And then in 2025, Q1 was still really, really good, still riding the 4-day wait, and then it leaked from DC, or I don't know if it leaked, you call it whatever you want. It got out in DC that, hey, we may get HPA, or we may get $0 tax stamp, and it was just this, weren't sure what the industry was going to get. But fortunately, even though we didn't get HPA, we did get $0 tax stamp. And for 6 months, those of you that are in the industry, those of you that have your SOT, you know, it was really promotion driven and crazy for about 6 months, just because you got to keep the lights on, right? But still 800,000 suppressors were sold in 2025. And in just the first 2 weeks of 2026, 178,000 suppressors forms were submitted to ATF. So, and just so you know, and I'm sure Gentry can tell you this on his end too, but the sales have not slowed down at all. We're in March. Every day is just, you see what's going on, and you're just amazed by where the trajectory is. We're anticipating 1.5 million to 1.6 million, 1.5 to 1.6 million suppressors this year. And I suspect personally, there's another doubling in the market into 2027 as well. As you guys that are thinking about getting your SOT or don't have your SOT, I'll just tell you down there in the bottom, you can see that little quote. I said this to the MBS folks several years ago. If you sell guns and you aren't selling a suppressor to go with those firearms, you might as well not sell optics. That's literally where we're at in the marketplace today. There's no reason to shoot unsuppressed. They're easy to get. They're quick turnaround, and now $0 tax. You don't have to give the government any additional money. So the process, honestly, and JC, you can jump in when you want to here, but the only difference between selling a gun and selling an NFA product is this little thing called the NFA, right? So really it's 2 forms. It's a Form 3 when you receive the serial number, and it's a Form 4 that the end consumer gets, or the tax stamp once it is approved. You go through the whole process, submit the Form 4, get the approval, customer comes in, they still do a 4473, and they pick up the suppressor from you after the 4473 is complete. The big piece in here is data collection. Michele's got our Kiosk on there for those of you that are in the industry and are partners of ours already. It's a data collection tool. It takes fingerprints, takes photos. You fill out the regulated data that goes on a Form 4, and then our software. And there are other options out there, by the way, so I'm not trying to just push silence or shop here. That you got to collect the data and you got to get it into e-forms, because as JC said, doing a paper Form 4 nowadays, you're seriously, you're like 18 months. They won't even look at them.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to do paper. You got to go digital, and you got to be able to collect the fingerprint. You got to be able to collect the photograph. You got to be able to connect the e-forms and upload it in an efficient manner.
And that efficient manner is, you know, some of my dealers are 5 minutes if they've had the customer before, and if it's a new customer, it's 20 minutes. So in the paper form, you know, people were spending an hour on that. So,
and then you got to go get rolled fingerprints at the sheriff, and you got to somehow convert that to a file that you can upload into e-forms, or like I said, you can send them in manually. It's technology. I know that the core of what we're talking about today is how technology can make your life easier. And the same applies in the NFA world.
All right, so I'm going to launch this next poll question here just to keep us moving. If you are selling NFA items, which it seems many of you are, how are you collecting the required inputs for your submissions? A, manual paper Form 4s, B, some digital tools, but mostly manual, C, using e-forms but not fully integrated, or D, those are our rock stars again, fully digital and integrated with my e-forms. All right, we're at 62%, so keep the votes coming. Oh, wow, okay. This is good. I'm gonna go ahead and close it. We're at 70%. Good enough. Travis, go ahead and read the results here.
Manual paper form 4 is only 4%. That's a good thing. Those of you that are
Yeah.
still doing it, happy to chat afterward and figure out how you can get off of the manual the system. Some digital tools, but still mostly manual, 2%. Using e-forms but not integrated, 18. Fully digital and integrated with my e-forms, 37. And the 39% of you that aren't selling products, NFA products, let us get you into this ball game as quickly as possible. There's no time like the present.
Absolutely. All right. So next, it's not just NFA products, but there's other products too, right? We talk about diversifying, and Gentry is going to walk us through what some of those other product lines might look like.
Thanks, Michelle. I think a great place to start is just to echo that quote Travis had of, if you sell firearms and you're not selling suppressors, yeah, it's why are you selling? Might as well not sell all the other stuff, because they are truly a package deal. Everyone knows the firearms and the ammo is the bread and butter, but there's a lot of other categories out there that are available that not only will help kind of diversify your offering, but also give you some reduced risk and also just add customers to your current base. NFA products, like Travis mentioned, are absolutely booming right now. The barriers of entry have been lowered, so that is a great category to get into. Some other ones, reloading, it is, slightly niche, but the people that are into it are very into it, and it's a great category to whether bring into your store or, like Michelle mentioned earlier, take advantage of our warehouse and bring it when you need it. Some other more common categories that are great, optics, hunting accessories, all of these are categories that people buy and people are looking for. And if you can get connected and get access to those products, you're going to be able to increase your sales. The best thing I can say is if you're able to elevate your product mix, you're going to be able to elevate your bottom line. And that's why we're all here, right? We want to, help people, but we also want to be profitable while we do it.
And I want to add one note to something Gentry just said too about the distributor integrations, right? So if you have e-commerce and you're not doing online feeds and drop ship, this is a great place to start, right? Before you purchase all these products and have it all stocked up in your store, just do the online feed and just test it out and see how these items start moving on your website. Have the distributor drop ship it, either direct, of course, some of this will have to go to a local FFL. Your customer will choose where to go and have that, where they can go and complete it, but test it out on your website, see what's selling. And then you can start to pull it in and stock it in the store as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. And some of the items you guys see on here kind of fit that perfectly. Obviously, you have your handguns and your ammo up top. Those are kind of standard margins across the board. But they're at the bottom. That's where you see really the enhancements that you can make. I mean, even something that you may not even think would be a top seller, like a tripod, if you're able to connect and kind of get set up with drop shipping, you would be amazed about the demand for that type of product. And even the optics, whether it's a well-known brand or even a higher tier type of brand for those, people call them bougie buyers, but there's brands out there for everybody, and they have really successful margins to help elevate your business.
So I put on here just a quick, and this is just typical margins. Of course, this will vary pretty significantly depending on the product, but the different categories here. So handguns, obviously 10 to 15%. Suppressors, 20 to 25%, right, Travis? Where accessories, NFA accessories could be upwards of 40%.
Yep, absolutely. It's and when you have in the suppressor world, you got to have something that puts it on the gun, right? So most first-time suppressor buyers, they want to buy that can that'll go on multiple rifles, right? So they're buying multiple mounting systems to go on all their different rifles. So it's not just a buy the suppressor, make the margin sale, right? You're selling additional flash hiders or muzzle devices or direct thread adapters. There's a bunch of different stuff, but and those all make you really, really good margin.
Reloading can be anywhere from 20 to 45% margin. And then archery, we didn't talk much about archery, but being a firearms business, if you don't sell a little bit of archery products, you might want to consider bringing in some bows or supplies. 30 to 40% markup, 40 to 60%. I mean, these are way higher than handguns, right? So thinking about diversifying, and again, even if it's not in your store initially, on your website to test it out and then expand from there. All right, so we talked about a ton of different things here. We kept everything kind of high level because we couldn't get too in the weeds, just talking about so many different topics. But again, plug for any of our Celerant clients who are on. Really, I encourage you to come to our client conference. Everyone here will be at the event. We're going to talk a lot more about all these topics and have more intimate breakout sessions. But at the end of the day, technology is so important. And you know, I was surprised. I was at the Sports South show last summer, and I couldn't believe how many dealers are still selling out of cigar boxes, literally, and not using any software. Today's group, from the polls we did, we can tell that you all are using some software, but it's disconnected. Are the different systems speaking to each other? And you know, when you're using a fully connected system, how much time you can save and how much it can help you in terms of compliance, but also just selling more and not even without having to stock more. So there's so many different ways that technology can help you streamline your business. I can tell you each one of us would welcome the opportunity to have a conversation, do a product demo, talk more. But of course, for the purpose of today's session, we're really just trying to educate and just try to open everybody's eyes to new growth opportunities and different things that you can take advantage of. I mean, even like I said earlier, with your current providers, right? Ask questions. And the biggest takeaway today, though, should be, I think, diversifying. And if you don't have your SOT, get it. And then really start to bring on those products, because that's where the industry is moving. And my biggest tip always is start small. Being a technology person, this is what we live and breathe all day. To some of our retailers on the calls, it might seem overwhelming, and even just that ecosystem graphic there might overwhelm you. Start small, pick one thing, start there. You can expand and grow, and of course, we can all help.
Just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done with. Make the switch.
Or just rip the Band-Aid off and do it all at once. I mean,
It's
heck,
not that
that's
bad.
what I do.
It's not that bad.
And I will say this, and I say it all the time to our dealers, that implementation, that initial part of starting with something new, especially when it comes to software, is going to be a little challenging, right? It's not all rainbows and butterflies. But once you get through it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is a much brighter light. It takes a little bit to get there, but once you're there, you are going to operate in a completely different way. But change is not easy, and it takes time and it takes patience, and you're literally shifting the entire way that you and your team are working every day. So, all right, we are exactly on time. We have 10 minutes left, amazingly enough. So this slide has all of our contact info. You can reach out to any of us, all of us. We're here to answer any questions you have. If you want to take a quick quiz, you can, well, you can't click on that, but the URL is right above it. Can kind of take you through some questions and help you figure out, you know, which system might be right for you. Questions have been coming in, so I encourage you to drop questions right now. We're going to take some of those questions. We've got about 10 minutes, and whichever questions we don't get to, we will answer each and every one via email. So, all right, first question. When is the new 4473 going to be published?
Okay, that's it's contingent on the new director being confirmed. So they are not going to do anything. So until that happens, so we're expecting it before the end of the month, him to be confirmed. And then I would venture to guess that sometime in April, the new 4473 will be published to the Federal Register for comments. So just know that it's 60 days worth of comments. They take the comments back, provide, reporting and such on that. And then it's going to be another 120 days after that before it's actually required to be used. So we're looking at probably sometime summertime to end of summer before that 4473 is out and required.
Got it. All right, next, do I notify the ATF if I am choosing to move to digital?
If you're just going to digital, say you're using a FastBound solution, but still going to print them and save them hard copy, you don't have to notify the ATF of anything. If you're going digital, in other words, digital storage, 22-1 requires 60-day notice to the local field division, and that can be done via email.
Okay. Will the recording for this session be accessible to the attendees to review? Yes, we recorded this session. We will, shortly after this session, send everybody who registered the link to the recording. Absolutely. How many folks are on the call? We had about 580 dealers who registered today. And then Shannon says hello. Hi, Shannon. Does it make sense for a California-based FFL to get their SOT?
You want to take that one, Travis, or you want me to take it?
It's here's the thing, right? California, no, move out of California. No, I'm kidding. There are FFLs that have their SOTs that deal directly with the law enforcement communities in states like New York. There are 42 states that Silence the Shop says don't suck, right? Meaning end consumers can buy suppressors, but there are avenues in those states that you or I can't buy a suppressor that can support law enforcement. So honestly, it probably, my personal opinion, since you ask, is California probably not. Quite frankly, it's more hassle than you'll want to deal with. But if you move over the state line into Arizona or Nevada, then yes.
Got it. Salvatore asked, will there be handouts or a PDF? We will send the recorded link to everyone, but Salvatore, I will absolutely grab your email and send you the deck as well, so you have that copy. All right, next one. Now that there is no more zero tolerance, is the ATF kinder? And what can I expect on my next inspection?
Kinder, they have a job to do. They're regulators. They're coming in and conducting their inspections. Their kind of marching orders right now are education focus. So I will tell you that there is an ATF administrative order out there that basically directs all the field divisions on how to conduct an inspection and what they're looking at. They look at the same things they've always looked at. They're looking at your 4473s to make sure they're completed properly and a background check is done. Their focus is public safety. Their focus is ensuring you've done a background check, ensuring you're timely acquiring firearms, you're timely disposing of firearms, your inventory is solid, everything is accounted for. So kinder, I'll say that for the most part, the interactions that we have, although we had interactions with ATF even through zero tolerance, our world is a little different because we handle compliance day in and day out. I would tell you that they're not focused on nitpicking in the little things. They're focused on matters of public safety and ensuring you're doing all you're supposed to do.
And Travis, I think you said this at our conference last year. I think you said it, where as technology is getting better and better every year, the ATF's expectations are also getting higher and higher as they expect everything to be streamlined because there's such great technology out there.
Yeah, they expect you to be buttoned up, right? And
Right.
I'll just add on to what JC said. Just because they're easier to work with, let's say kinder, I think was the question today. If you've got your compliance buttoned up, it doesn't matter whether they're kind or not kind. They come in to do their job. They're not going to be able to bust you on violations. Technology will help you do that. And whether they like it or not, they're not going to be able to do anything to you because you're compliant. So prepare for the worst, right? That's always my message. And it doesn't matter who's in the White House, doesn't matter what administration is guiding ATF. If you're ATF compliance or ATF inspection ready every day, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to keep going because we've got a lot of questions rolling in here. What notification or application is needed to be made to the ATF or the New Jersey State Police to switch to E4473 and e-bound books?
Again, switching to electronic. Yeah, switching to electronic. If you're still doing hard copy, you're still printing out the 4473. There's no requirements to notify anyone. You're doing it in a new way. That's all. And if you're going electronic, it's a 60-day notification. There's no form. It's a simple
Digital
email.
storage.
Yep, we're going to digital storage on this date, and just make sure it's at least 60 days out. So it's that simple.
All right, this one's for Travis. How can you get a silencer shop kiosk?
Send me an email, and we will get you in touch with our dealer sales manager, and we'll get you all set up.
And I've got a question. I visit our dealers all the time, and a lot of our dealers still have the old kiosk. It doesn't look like that nice black one.
Yeah, well, times change. The software is the same. Let me be clear. Whether you're on the original version from 2015, a physical version of the software, to the newest one that you just saw the picture of, the software does exactly the same on all of them. So whether it's generation 1, generation 2, 3, or 4, we have 4 generations of kiosks over the last 10 years. They all do the same thing. So anyway, they look fancier, but they all do the same thing.
Are all the same. All right, this is more of a comment, not a question, from Bryant. It'd be an awesome day to have California resident customers be able to walk up to a Silencer Co. kiosk in our shop and confidently buy a silencer without feeling like they are going to prison for a felony.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes. All right, Jerry, this is a long one. Can we use the fillable 4473 form on the ATF website and then print it and have it signed and dated by our customer and not have to use the paper 4473 forms supplied by the ATF? Can it save it as a PDF and it be okay with the ATF for record keeping?
No. It has to be stored in a specific format if you're doing electronic storage, and there has to be a certain functionality for if you are storing it electronically. So you have to be careful of that. You can use, the ATF does have a Form 4473 application that you can download and install on a computer. You can use the fillable one that the ATF offers. Just make sure that, the fields for specifically like signature aren't crossed out. You can't use that one. You can certainly use a fillable PDF. Just make sure you're doing your part, customers doing their part, and you can prove that there was no crossover in functions, etc. But in the end, when you're looking at these solutions like a FastBound, the cost is nominal.
We spend $9 a month.
Speed of getting through the transaction itself. So you're spending a lot of workaround time, which is a soft expense that you don't even recognize if you're trying to work around utilizing a solution that was actually baked for that type of purpose.
And I'll add 2 things to that. The first is the fillable PDF that ATF has no checks and balances, no guardrails. You just type whatever you want in it, right? The solutions that are out there in the industry today, like FastBound, they have guardrails on everything to keep you compliant. And number two, be very careful about ever storing just a PDF. It doesn't matter whether you're using the ATF's electronic 4473 or any electronic 4473, storing just a PDF on your laptop, on your desktop, or on your server at the store does not meet 2022-1 compliance.
Correct.
In the least. So if you are doing that today, and you haven't done the due diligence on 2022-1, let us know. We'll help you get that squared away. JC or I can help you down that path.
So it is the top of the hour, but we have a lot of questions. I don't mind staying for a little bit. I think these questions are probably one of the best parts. If you guys are good, we can keep rolling through questions.
We keep going.
Yeah, okay. We still have almost all our attendees on here too. So we may need to do a session in the future of just Q&A because this might fill a full hour here. All right, Andre, I am a customer of everyone except, I am a customer of everyone except of JC. What service does your company provide?
We are a full shop, support services shop for FFLs and ranges. We do everything. We were operators. We know how to run retail business. We've done it for the better part of 2 decades between JB and myself. We do everything that you can imagine that you would need as far as support services, from training to mock audits, assessments, soup to nuts. Everything you do as an FFL, we can provide you support.
Okay. Brian asked, who are some of your largest clients on Celerant? Case studies we can reference. So Vance Outdoors, Turner's, Simmons Sporting Goods, Jim's Firearms. I can go on and on, but I can send you a couple of links. We have a bunch of videos actually on YouTube. That's probably the best place to look. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have a lot of dealer success stories. And I think every dealer I mentioned, we have a video up for too over on YouTube. So you can check that out. I'll send you some links too after the session.
Hey, Michelle, on that last question, if you want to share that email with me, I can send over our support services.
For sure, I will. Gabriel asked, how does a NFA seller get around to shipping out of state directly to an individual who has not been in their shop and has not personally signed a Form 4 or 4473?
So they're talking about non-over-the-counter sales. In order to conduct a non-over-the-counter sale, it has to be shipped within state. So you as the FFL can do a shipment within the state that you are licensed in. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that has to be done. You have to send paperwork. They have to sign affidavits. There's a whole bunch of back and forth as far as paperwork. So unless it's really worth it to you as a business, I would tell you the amount of time and effort that you will spend doing this is considerable. But there is a process outlined by the ATF on how to conduct an NOTC sale.
Yeah, and I'll add, back in the day on suppressor sales, when wait times were 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
The extra couple of weeks, because there is a mandatory waiting period from the time notification happens to the time you can ship. So you're adding at least probably 2 weeks to the transfer timeline. So shipping it out of your store adds wait time to the end consumer. And quite frankly, my personal opinion is I want the customer back in my store. I want them back in the store to pick it up. That gives them a chance to buy a bow while they're there as well, right? Or a scope or whatever it might be, or a cleaning kit, right? So faster approval times, just get it in their hands quicker would be my counter to the shipment piece.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Evan. Where do I start on equipment to do NFA items, fingerprint scanners, etc.?
There are a lot of options. I shouldn't say a lot. There are a few options out there. We certainly have our Kiosk, which is what I'm most familiar with. But there are competing products in the market. So honestly, I would tell you the best place to start would be Google or actually just talking to, I don't want to come off as a salesman. Talk to other FFLs that you know that are in this business, and they'll guide you down the right path, right? So that
Or
would be
just talk to Silencer Shop.
or just talk to us. That's fine.
I'll be your salesperson. All right. Evan also asked on digital, can you correct the 4473 if you need to?
In our software, you can, and it is required by 2022-1. And in fact, that's one of the reasons just the regular PDF doesn't qualify, right? Because you have to be able to make digital corrections to that form, and they have to be done in a certain manner in order to meet the 2022-1 requirements. So the short answer is yes, you have to be able to, and the software you're using should obviously do that.
Okay. Next question. If I have Celerant and FastBound and want to use digital 4473, how does that switch over work?
You just go to your settings and hit 4473, and then it should show up on the left side, and you can start using it. If you want to schedule training, just jump on a chat support on the bottom right, the little circle, and just say, hey guys, can I get some training on the 4473s? And we'll be more than happy to walk you through it. But 4473s are included, so if you're already a customer, it's pretty simple to get started and turned on. You can take advantage of our browser extensions that fill out NICs, or we've got like 14 point of contact states, so it's going to take that information and populate it. We also have the NICS Direct. That's an API for the background where you just hit a button, it runs the background and pulls everything back. So it will make your life a lot easier, and then that information will push back to Celerant, so you can retrieve it, customer name, firearm, and everything's inside of your point of sale.
All right. Anything on the horizon as it relates to compliance for gunsmiths who don't carry inventory and do very few transfers into commerce?
No, not really. It's pretty much standard. Gunsmiths are generally a fairly easy inspection to conduct. Just make sure your inventory is, well, not inventory, but the firearms that you're working on are in your A&D book, and make sure that your filing system is proper and correct as far as those transfers that you do. You know, other than that, it really, when it comes to inspecting a gunsmith, the ATF is paying attention to, are you gunsmithing or are you manufacturing? So understanding where that line is drawn, and then obviously keeping track of that inventory and proving that you are doing gunsmithing. In other words, having some sort of work order or some sort of documentation that says this gun is here because I'm doing work on it.
All right, Ronald asked, sorry, I am new, and this may be a silly question, but does this software work for gunsmith logging as well? Also, would it be stupid to get SOT right now to start selling immediately, or just wait until July 1?
No, you're going to want to wait until April 15th. You can actually file for the SOT for the next tax year. So I wouldn't do anything right now. I would wait until after April 15th, and then you can, once July 1st rolls around, you can start conducting business.
All right, Michael asked, my latest count is nearly 90 suppressor manufacturers, which is probably low. How do you recommend small dealers navigate this as far as what to stock?
Honestly, that's a great question. Gentry, jump in whenever you'd like, sir. For us, you talk to one of our dealer sales reps, and they'll guide you down the path of, these are the most popular, right? These are the top brands. These are the top SKUs within those brands. But then you can also walk through some of these up and coming suppressor companies, right? And there are a bunch of them out there. And I won't use this platform to do that. But there are plenty of up and coming platforms out there that they may not be the Silencer Codes or the Dead Airs of the world, but they sure are gaining market. They are taking market space today. And really, the only way to do that is to talk to someone who's in it every day, quite frankly.
All right, we got 10 questions left,
Yeah.
so we'll zip through. Go ahead,
I'll just
Jamie.
echo Travis real quick, like, reaching out to an account executive to get their input. They'll be able to tell you exactly what you need based on what your customer is looking for, whether it's the top seller or like brands, what's available, price ranges, all of those types of things. They'll be the best point of contact for that.
If I transfer a rifle to a local FFL and it is not legal in that state, oh, good question. Where is the responsibility? Do I have to know every state law, or does the local FFL need to tell me?
You're required to know the state laws before you ship. And California is a great example of that. If you just willy-nilly attempt to ship a firearm into California, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. It is your responsibility as an FFL to understand the laws and regulations that are governing lawful commerce in firearms. That's probably, and people have asked what we do, that is probably one of our biggest services is you call us or text us and ask, can I ship this firearm to this FFL in this state? Well, we probably get at least 100 questions a day on that between text and phone calls. So,
well, and we have new tools too that we're integrating into our e-commerce. And again, not everyone here is using our e-commerce. So no matter who you're using for e-commerce, check with them and see what is available, because there are automations that you can add onto your website. Jamison, you want to?
Like I say, don't jump on Facebook or the forums and ask. Go to an expert, go to a professional, go to somebody that's going to give you sound advice, because the ATF and the states, they don't care if somebody on Facebook told you that they've shipped that gun or that, hey, it's okay if you do this. You're going to be liable for it. So.
Yep. And it always makes sense to call the receiving FFL ahead of time and say, are you willing to take it? Because there are some FFLs that will not do transfers, that don't operate as doing transfers. So you always want to make sure, at least send them an email or whatnot, or give them a phone call and say, hey, I got a customer that wants me to send a gun to you. You good with it? So that always helps too.
Next question. What are the costs for all of these systems and services, from the software to the kiosks? So I could start there. So for the retail software, for the point of sale, the e-commerce, with us, whether it's Cumulus or Stratus, that's going to be a big differentiator. Cumulus is our lighter, more cost-effective solution. Stratus is, of course, more advanced, where you can build custom functionality. So it definitely has a larger price tag. But for Cumulus, we've got bundles that we've put together specifically for firearm dealers. All of our pricing is on our website. The link is there. But it starts anywhere from $199 a month to, I'd say most of our dealers in Cumulus, if they're in store and online, they're probably paying around $399 a month. Jamison, you said for your piece, it starts at $9 a month, right?
Yeah, that's for 100 acquisitions a year, and then we go up, 1,000 acquisitions, or 500,000, 2,500s, $49 a month, 10,000s, $99, and it just incrementally goes up.
And for any of our dealers on the call, we don't charge anything for the FastBound integration. So if you're using our A&D book, which comes with your software, if you're wanting to explore FastBound, we encourage you to do that, and we don't charge you for that integration. Of course, you'd pay FastBound, but not anything for us. And Travis, what do the kiosks, what are those?
Cloud. So cloud starts at basically $24 a year, and it goes up, as Jamison said, based on volume. I can tell you it's whatever you're paying to print forms, cloud is going to be about 50% cheaper, no matter what, right? So that's how we have cloud priced. And then the kiosks start at $1,800 to get the initial payment to get that kiosk shipped. And we have a $3,200 option too, which is basically covers you for 2 years as opposed to 1. But it's a pay for the kiosk, and then there's a service fee beyond that monthly. But happy to chat with anybody directly about this.
Shannon said, I want to get a kiosk and I want your email, Travis. So we will get that to you. We have your email. So we'll get you that after the session. Is there a cost associated with the kiosk? We just went through that. Jamison, can you repeat how much it is monthly for FastBound? We just went through that as well. So.
Yep, $9 a month to get started.
Yeah.
I can go over it again. I mean,
I think that the question was already here. It's just a lot of questions around price, naturally. And I think all of our pricing is on our websites too. So we're all pretty transparent. You can go online and look at it all there as well. All right, Tom has a question. Can you scan all of your old printed copies from years? Oh, yes. Can you scan all of your old printed copies from years ago and save them digitally?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, you can. You are required to keep
really want to do that.
Say that again.
I said, do you really want to do that?
I personally, to get rid of the paper, there are two ways to go about this.
Well, you could close out your FFL, right?
Okay, so let's answer the question first. Yes, you can, but you are required to keep 3 years of paper forms on hand. So you could scan them all, upload them all into digital storage, keep 3 years of paper, and as the calendar turns, trash a year, trash a year, trash a year, and just get rid of them, right? Completely. There is another option, which would be to, and JC can help you with this, sunset your current FFL, send all of your records back to Out of Business Records Center in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and then get a new FFL and start clean, fully digital, and clean out that back room.
Yep. Yeah, but be very careful if you're going to go down that path. Please reach out. We want to make sure that there's overlap, so you're not conducting business without an FFL. You have no idea how many times I get a phone call with an oops. We sunsetted our old FFL and haven't gotten our new one yet. So there's timing that we need to work out on that. So, but
great.
it is an option. We do a lot of relicensing.
All right, next question is from Aaron. I am taking over a shop with 4 years of history, just applied for a new FFL. They have never had an audit. If something is wrong with past paperwork, will that affect the new FFL owner coming in? And is there a chance of audit before new FFL interview because of it?
So that's an application inspection. If you've become a responsible person on somebody else's license, the ATF doesn't really like you doing that. It can be done, but it's not optimal. So yes, you as a responsible person, if you were added to that FFL, you will have responsibility for past activities. Obviously, the ATF will take some things into account, the fact that you were added, etc. Chances, I would say reach out to me. Let's talk through, business and understanding traces and denies and what type of business it is and etc. Chances are really good. The application inspection could instigate a firearms compliance inspection, but there are a number of variables that play into it.
All right, next one. We're currently using FFL Safe. We're having to print out all of our forms for now. I guess that's just more of a statement.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, any ATF issues with type 01 FFLs drop shipping suppressors to a SOT from a manufacturer or distributor?
If you have that relationship with a manufacturer or distributor, absolutely.
Okay. This one,
it doesn't even hit your inventory.
right. This one's for you, JC. Can you help in homegrown FFLs partially in New York?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of New York clients. We do take a lot of home-based FFLs and actually elevate their game and turn them into brick and mortar FFLs. So
okay, and Mark says, thank you so much. This was really helpful. Thank you. Charlene, can you please send me a copy of the slides with the video and the Q&A? Yep, absolutely. I'll grab your email and make sure you get the deck too. Maybe we'll just put the deck in with the recorded link so everybody has it, because there seems to be a lot of requests for that. Oscar, what if the FFL intends to resell it?
what if the FFL intends to resell what?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Well, Oscar asked another question. Let's see. Being in Illinois, I can purchase a non-compliant firearm with the intent of reselling in a legal state.
Through e-commerce channels. I would have to check Illinois. Feel free to reach out to me directly and I'll check that on Illinois. I believe that is accurate.
Okay. If I sell it to, 3 more questions, then we're going to end it. If I sell a suppressor in New Mexico, can they get the, I don't know what that, can they get the process in El Paso, Texas?
No, it has to be in state.
Well, it depends on what the process means. So
Yeah.
if they're in New Mexico and the customer goes to El Paso to use a kiosk to collect the data, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the transaction has to take place in New Mexico.
The physical transfer has
Yeah.
to take place in New Mexico.
Yep.
So if that FFL is willing to Form 3 that, I don't know how you would have to Form 3 it into New Mexico for them, because it would have to be done at an FFL in New Mexico.
Okay, and then Mary, sorry, we went over all our prices, but clearly we didn't go over FFL consultants because Mary is asking, what is the cost associated with FFL consultants?
Yeah, so our anytime support is $125 a month. That's call us anytime with questions you have, etc. And then from there, everything is engagement driven. So it just depends on what you're looking for. So we would do a scoping call, and then we'd provide you with a statement of work and a quote that tells you everything we're going to do. And depending on what you want will depend on how much time and effort is required.
Does Celerant have a marketplace integration API that allows dealers to push used or consignment inventory to third-party platforms? And is there a formal partner program for companies looking to integrate? Great question. We love to explore new partnerships and integrations. Our partnerships were really important to us, as you can see here. So we will follow up with you and we can talk more and see, because absolutely we can integrate. Mary says, thank you very much. Matthew, is there options for dealers to get FFL training?
From whom? Us?
It doesn't say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We offer all types of training. We have an e-learning platform that we provide. We have a number of courses that are free of charge that you can use to train your employees. Actually, in some of these restricted states or more restricted states that have requirements, we've built out training for them. FastBound definitely has training available for their solution.
Yeah, FastBound has training. Celerant, we've got all sorts of training across the board. Every one of us have training. There's training videos. There's dedicated training one-on-one. So there's lots of options available. We can just talk offline.
Absolutely.
And then last question from Dennis. Can you touch base on what a segregate dealer storage on NFA items?
Segregate. A separate dealer storage for NFA items?
Segregated.
Yeah,
He might be talking about segregation of products.
Segregate dealer storage on NFA
Okay.
items.
So keeping your NFA items separate from your GCA items. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, I mean, yes. They don't. What we do when we go out and do an assessment or an audit of an FFL, we always look to ensure that items that are in inventory. Because when the ATF comes in, they're going to be looking at your what's called your NFRTR, or National Firearms Registry and Transfer Record. So they're going to look for what's in inventory, and then they're going to look at what's in process of being approved, and then there's the firearms or NFA items that have been approved that are awaiting transfer. So we always advise to keep them segregated in a manner that everything is nice and organized. If that's what you're talking about. It just keeps it makes your life a lot easier. It makes sure that you don't attempt to transfer an NFA firearm that's already in the process of being transferred, things like that.
We don't charge to separate in FastBound. If you're talking about your bound books, so you can acquire your firearms when you acquire type NFA, and you can keep all your NFA items separate, so you can print out a bound book just specifically for those. I'm
getting real-time questions on this. So we need a different log, I guess login, and then
really need a different log. Yeah.
And then another question from FFL and SOT.
FFL and SOT.
You don't need separate bound books for NFA and GCA. You can put them in one, whether it's handwritten or whether it's digital. A lot of the digital, as Jamison was saying, options out there will let you separate the two, so you can do your NFRTR reconciliations for internal audits, right? Yep. Or to provide that to ATF, but you're not required to physically or from a bound book perspective separate the two. It just makes sense to do it from a business standpoint.
Yeah. It's recommended just to make your life easier.
That's right.
Just like a gunsmith log. It just makes life a little bit easier.
All right, last question. This one just came in and it's a good one. I want to get an answer for a while. Hey guys, my ATF inspector recommended me to wait until June 1st to submit my SOT application so that I won't get billed twice for it. Is that accurate?
Negative.
He's
You
confused. But go ahead,
You can
Jason.
initiate a application for an SOT or your renewal for SOT come April 15th. You'll just select the next tax year, which in this case will be July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
That's right.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right, thanks a
We
lot.
are incorrect.
He's still here and he said thanks a lot.
Yep.
And then the one last question rolled in and then we're going to end it. Is there a time limit a responsible person can have an NFA item stored off-site?
If there are RP, the key that ATF looks at with that is the fact, what are you doing with it? You know, was it a transfer? So that's what you have to be careful of. If you're doing demos and it's legit and you can provide proof that you're doing demos, you should be fine. But if it's a situation where they're taking it home and using it and so on and so forth, and they're not doing product testing or anything like that, then it's more or less constituted a transfer. So you should really just go ahead with the transfer and make it happen. Especially
right.
now with no $200 tax.
Yes. We're going to end it there. Questions are still rolling in. And we still have over 200 dealers on this live session here, which tells me I think we need just an ask the expert session maybe for, you know, next month or something. We'll think about that. The questions are coming in. We'll get those answered. We went 26 minutes over, but it was great to get through some of these questions. So thank you, Gentry, JC, Travis, Jamison. Thank you everybody for joining.
Just a little plug
Thanks,
for
everyone.
FFL Consultants. We got Ask Us Anything this coming Monday.
There you go.
PM Eastern. So you got more questions, we devote an entire half our show to just ask us anything. You ask us questions and we get you answers.
Yeah, so look, we got 4 people that said, yes, please do another Q&A session. This is great. We will do that for sure. So until next time, take care, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Y'all.
Bye.